for that. Well, my guest this morning is Honorable Sergius Ogun. He's a member of the House of Representatives, in spite of the name, representing Esan Northeast and Southeast Federal Constituency of Edo State. You might have heard the name Honorable Ogun and think that, okay, we know where that one is coming from. He's coming from Ogun State. Not so. So a fine morning to you, Honorable Ogun.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Yori Polari in the studio here. I'm delighted to have you. You know the concern of every Nigerian, I imagine. We're talking about the currency change exercise and the harrowing experience all Nigerians are having of it. And you know, we also note that the Speaker on the House of Representatives has said that he's actually, you know, considering calling back all you gentlemen. You're on vacation right now. Is vacation the right word, or break? You're on break so that you can go about your campaigning duties. Tell me, what exactly is the position of the House of Representatives? Because Honorable Gbajabiamila Miller has said he was ready to sign the warrant for arrest of Mr. Emefiele, the CBN governor, because he's not above the law, if necessary. But as it was, all of that was averted when the central bank governor showed in the House of Representatives and met with you. So tell me, what's the position of the House of Representatives as we speak this morning?
Well, we don't have any formal notification of reconvening the House. But I also think what the Speaker said in his constituency of Surulere 1 about reconvening the House, it was a personal opinion of his in a campaign trail. I do not think he has consulted with the leadership of the House, which again is not a big deal anyway. He can do that any day, within a day, I will get the consensus of the leadership and then reconvene the House. But I think he's a very passionate person about having the rule of law. But that is why when you mention something about he was going to maybe sign a bench warrant for the arrest of the CBN government, he had not appeared, you know. So he's a stickler for that. If the law says this, we must obey it. But also to let you know, I'm a member of the ad hoc committee on the review of what the CBN is doing right now. And we're supposed to be meeting by 2 p.m. today. I don't know if that has changed. But we have additional information we're supposed to review. So as our last night, yesterday evening, we got a notification about a meeting today for 2 p.m. So, but I know the House is not resting on its oars. We are looking into it, and we don't want Nigerians to be suffering, and hopefully whatever can be done should be done. The CBN governor had, matter of fact, when he appeared, I think last week,
yes,
said, I mean, because the law is clear, Section 23 of the CBN Act, that both currencies can run. The redesigned can be running even after the expiry date. Sorry, the old one can still be accepted by the banks, even though there's no more illegal tender, but the banks can still accept them. That's the law, and the CBN governor read it out, and he said he was in agreement with the law and with the National Assembly, with the House of Reps. So there are no issues, really. I think it's just Nigerians that maybe are apprehensive, you know.
Indeed. You know, it's still a bit confusing because people still are asking just about anybody who they think can give an answer. They ask reporters, say, what's that they're saying about after the 10th? It's not as if the old notes immediately lose their value. It's just that you won't be able to spend them. And I think, yeah, I've read that the central bank governor has said that even after that 10th, old notes can still be submitted to the banks, can still be submitted, only they will have to do so through central bank. And as you know, the central bank is not a people's bank, it's a banker's bank. So all of these signals coming at this particular time, in fact, there's even a bit more confusion. I'm reading in one of the dailies this morning that the Supreme Court stops withdrawal of the old notes temporarily, so the thing says. So it's pretty confused. The president has continued to say well, not that he's spoken very much in recent times, that's another story, but he had said right up to the commencement that there will be no going back on it. And as you know, up and down the land, you can see, well, let me just stay on currency. You can see up and down the land the anguish that it is causing, and quite frankly, I don't know if the word is misbehavior, that we're also seeing people taking the laws into their own hands, people creating spectacles in banks, and yet they say that there is no going back. I don't know, Honorable Ogun, let me ask you a direct question. Do you think that this exercise at this time, this close to an all-important election, is indeed, the right way to go?
I do not think ordinarily it should be a problem, but the institutions ought to do what they needed to do. Like the CBN governor said, it's about 100 days now, and people are beginning to embrace fintech. I'm talking about fintech and transfers in the world. I think I saw a data. I think we are supposed to be number 6 in the whole world. We haven't done badly, but I don't think, if you know, NCC has a policy of universal coverage. I'm talking about the underserved. The telcos, the telecommunication companies, pay a percentage of their income, their revenue, to NCC for this purpose. So, as we are today, we shouldn't be talking about people that cannot get a network in any community in Nigeria, because it's all be funded. So where I'm going to is, if we had covered the country, and even in the rural areas, people can make transfers, people have been educated on this, we won't be having the issues we're having today. In fairness to the CBN, I think we are talking about two different things. They are talking about going cashless. There's a limit of what you can withdraw. That same policy was on before Emefiele got to CBN, but he did not continue with it. That is the challenge. Now he's trying to reinforce it now, and you are redesigning the Naira about the same time, and like you rightly mentioned, just some few months to the election. That's why the panic is there. But I think if we had started this like a year ago, we won't have issues. So I still believe that Nigerians are just apprehensive of what is next.
Yes.
Ordinarily, it's a laudable policy. Why should you be borrowing money from China to print notes? I mean, we all travel out. You don't carry, a lot of currency with you. We transact with cards. So, but we are not there yet. So, like I said, the apprehension is elections around the corner. Of course, politicians are moving money. Expenses has increased. Run up to the elections. But I believe it's a policy that is good for the country.
Okay.
In the long run.
Okay. Honorable Ogun, why do you think we are experiencing what we are in this country? And let me explain what I mean by that. We've seen videos appear of central bank officials inspecting commercial banks and finding new currency notes being hoarded in there. Banks refusing to, feed their machines. Of course, you know what happens then. So the banks seem to be pretending that those notes are not available. Central bank inspectors go around, they see that. We see it on video. The question I wanted to ask might surprise you a bit is, why are all those banking people not under arrest for sabotage? Why are these things being done in broad daylight? Even the tone of the central bank officials is pretty much conciliatory as far as I'm concerned. There's no outrage. There are no arrests. Bank managers are not put under arrest, and whoever, so that we know that this is dead serious, and this is in the nature of economic sabotage. If there's a policy that we're changing to new notes, the central bank, I understand that, I think it is in Edo State, I was reading this morning that they've released over $1 billion or something like that. But we see it in the vaults of banks, very unusual picture, but we've been able to see into the vaults of banks, and we see pristine currency notes stacked, not being distributed by the banks. Why do you think this kind of a thing is allowed to continue. The police are seeing it, the SSS is seeing it, the EFCC is seeing it, the president is seeing it, and nobody's under arrest.
Well, my brother, I think it's the same Nigerian problem. We keep saying, okay, fine. You cannot have a constitutional democracy without the rule of law. The banks, I dare say they are doing this in cahoots with the CBN. Not just politicians, the big people in the society, of course, have relationship, personal relationship with the banks, bank managers, their personal head, and all. And they want to be able to spend the new notes. So if, before the CBN governor appeared before us last Monday, I think what he has said, only ATM, that's where you can disburse money. But from there, he said, thereafter, they can disburse 20,000 naira across the counter. But how many rich men will go and queue to collect money in the bank? So it's easier for them to ask for like 1 million or 2 million or 20 million. And then maybe give a percentage of that to the bank. So, yes, to answer your question, we have the rule of law. What ought to be done is CBN from day one should have been going around the banks and inspect if they were sure they were actually giving them money. And when you see such a thing, there will be arrest and you charge the person to court the next day. The court will hear and then the person goes to prison. I mean, I'm not saying that you pass the judgment.
Yeah.
He doesn't go home.
Yeah.
He doesn't go home. That's what happens to an average Nigerian. The minute you are charged, you go to court and the next day, okay, fine, you are going to prison. The next hearing day will be maybe next week or day after tomorrow.
Yes. If
you throw a bank manager in a Black Maria under the glare of everybody, every other manager will sit up because nobody wants to be so humiliated for peanuts that they're going to get from a politician or a big man. But we never follow that route. Instead, we begin to tell young people to go out there and demonstrate and break down banks and then the rest of it. Buhari is not there. He's not the one that is there masterminding all this. It's just the Nigerians. But where the government has failed is to arrest the situation. So from day one, the CBN actually gave billions to states. You have a CBN branch in every state capital. If you know the amount of money you have given to branches, bank branches, or banks, you make sure they put the money out there. Tell us, Zenith Bank, so and so place, got this amount of money. Or Zenith Bank, Edo State, got this amount of money. They have extra number of branches. We expect extra amount of money to go to XY number of branches. Say it.
Exactly.
Let the people in that locality know. Send your officials there. If that was done from day one, we will not be where we are today. So I think the CBN officials and the commercial bank officials are all working together to just calm Nigerians. And that's why the hardship is there. And I also expect the president to step up, discipline people, sack people, jail people.
Well, yeah.
People will sit up.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sergius Ogun, because, there are people who won't hold their breath. Because as you know, as we are right now, there's a shortage of those currency notes among the population, but they are available at parties. Now, this is facilitated by bank managers and their underlings. Everybody knows it. The governor knows it. The president knows it. And nothing is done. And this is where I imagine you can't really fault a person for becoming a bit suspicious that there must be, even though I spoke earlier about the central bank inspectors going around and seeing all these currencies, seeing the subterfuges that the banks are up to, and nothing is done. No bank manager has been pulled out. I don't want to emphasize that. No, it's been pulled out as a result of that. Say, come here, Mr. Man. What is this? Under your watch, all these currency notes are being hoarded. They're not being put out. How do you explain this? Whatever your explanation, first of all, let's deal with this. Let him call whoever, if he doesn't know anything about it, so we know, but there's no transparency in the exercise at all. How I wish what you've just suggested, Honorable. Zenith Bank, Apata, they got 17 billion naira. Apex Bank, Access Bank, they got this to put out to the public. So people know if they really wanted it to work. Maybe it's because I'm outside the system, but it seems so simplistic. I would follow the cliche about it's not exactly rocket science, but it's being complicated and people are suspicious. People are suspicious that there's more to this than meets the eye. Although, the political parties, have varying views on it. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the APC presidential candidate, has called for calm and has said that people should not misbehave, do not do anything that can be misinterpreted. The candidate of the PDP, on the other hand, has said that, just continue. There's nothing wrong with all of this. So what do you make of this kind of a scenario? And then, meanwhile, you have the government itself saying through Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information, that the opposition is politicizing this routine, currency change.
Well, is the weakness in the system. The leadership today, as we have, as epitomized by the president of Nigeria today, is very weak. I say that without any apology. When you put out a policy like this and you want it to work, you read the Riot Act. You are saying there is no backing down, this is how we must do it. You also put measures in place to discipline people, that will not heed the instructions.
Yeah.
Erring officials will be disciplined. We haven't seen that. So that is why some of these things are happening. Yes, the presidential candidate of the APC has spoken up, but most people have also said, what is the issue? It's not just him alone. The APC governors, largely, some have gone to court. And I dare say, we have a country called Nigeria. Nigeria is a wonderful country. It's our responsibility to make it work. When APC or ACN, ANPP, those that came together to form APC, when they were in opposition, they would have supported everything that's happening today. That they are screaming the loudest tells me clearly they now have access to state funds. So, it's our bet right now to use these state funds to buy votes and to remain in power forever. So, is the inconsistency in all this? If this was happening some 8 years ago, leading to the 2015 elections, I don't think it would have been the APC talking like this. They would have been the one to say, right on, Mr. President, you have done the right thing. So it's a hypocrisy in the system that the presidential candidate of the PDP says is okay. People have rumored that, he stashed some money somewhere, the new notes, and is ready for the election.
Okay, let me take this call.
The presidential candidate of the APC,
supposed to have been I beg your pardon, Honorable Ogun. Let me take this call. It's for Fidel in Owerri. Good morning to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I want to say that this situation has again exposed the level of corruption in this country called Nigeria. A situation where even the bankers, Nigerians as a whole and so on, everybody wants a quick way of making money. And by so doing, they frustrate the entire system. They frustrate people. It's really unfortunate. Central bank must have found its fault by now. I mean, its mistakes by now. One had expected a situation where the situation would have been effectively monitored, monitoring the distribution of the money, supply of the money, and so on. And then the security agencies would have found those who are holding this money, those who are into shady deals, and punish them appropriately. Extension, I still believe, extension of time is not even the solution, because even if it's extended to the next 200 years, that last-minute rush will still be there. Nigerians will still experience the problem we are experiencing. Let them supply this money. Let people have access to this currency. Let central bank go back to the drawing board. Liaise effectively with commercial banks so that they will do the right thing. Those who fail should be appropriately sanctioned. It requires political will and courage. Thank you, and God bless you, and Fidel Onyeneke.
Thank you very much, Mr. Onyeneke, for calling in. Okay, this whole question about the right thing to do, we're dealing in the banks, largely we're dealing with a bunch of accountants. So they know the right thing. But we have to say what we're saying. Because somebody accused the other party, whatever was the other party, of doing all of this to harm the chances of some people. I just don't know how that coordination went and worked, where the central bank gave money to the banks for the purpose that we're discussing, and then the banks on their own, it appears, decide that they can sabotage the whole exercise by not releasing that money, and nothing happens. No comeuppance. So this is the part that ordinary Nigerians can't seem to fathom. But it is what it is. How soon do you think this can be turned around, Honorable Ogun, so we have a semblance of normalcy as we go towards the election? I imagine it can be fixed. I was particularly surprised, for example, as by way of a comment, since this exercise was announced, I had felt that having been announced, any ATM I go to, I will get the new currency notes. It did not happen, as you well know. Up and down the land, we were what, 2-3 weeks, maybe more, following the announcement, and the banks were still issuing dirty, but that's not the point. It's not about dirty, it's about old notes. They were still issuing old notes. If there were any dirty new notes, go ahead and issue them. At least we're all working towards the same objective of this policy change. So I don't want to be too much on this, but it's very, very suspicious that the banks, normally knowing that you don't joke with money matters, and normally knowing that all sorts of sanctions can apply, and these guys are professionals, accounting people, they still did what they did. Central banks saw it, was quiet, and then only in the past few days they began to go around and try to shift the blame elsewhere. Dare I say that there seems to be hand in glove with the central bank and the commercial banks, because I just can't see them, as we say in Nigeria, having the liver, having the liver to do what they have been doing. And so central bank can now say, well, come and see. They have the money. They are hoarding it. What do you mean they're hoarding it? Are you trying to say that you didn't know anything about this? Honorable Ogun, it's what it is. I see that you were expecting that. Where is the question in all of that? It's really, there's no question really, because the people that can answer the questions are the people that are being silent. You know, do I have in Niger State Philip? Philip, good morning, Philip.
Yes. Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah.
Have you got a question for the honorable gentleman, or an observation?
There's a question that I want to ask. Breaking news. I saw it in TVC.
Please go ahead.
Hello?
Please go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
Okay. I heard that the court has ordered the CBN governors so that they will continue to use the old Naira note.
Okay, so you want to know the situation with that, right?
I want to confirm.
Well,
I want to confirm from you.
Well,
I want to confirm. Yes.
Okay. Can you see the scroll on the screen right now? If you can
Yes.
see, if you look at the scroll that's on the screen right now, it sort of answers to that. But then newspaper reports also talk about temporary. You know, newspaper reports are talking about a temporary situation. So I don't know. You know how the law is. One part will go to the law, the other part will also go. But so they're talking about a temporary. But in the meantime, pending when it sort of clears up so that we know exactly what we're up to, it looks like they're saying that there's no going back on the 10th, being the sort of expiration limit for the old currencies. That's the situation we have on our hands. But as I said, when we come to understand it better, all these things that are just coming out now in something of a rush as we are closing towards the election is probably not not really the most desirable. But I'll tell you what, thank you very much for coming in. Honorable Ogun, stay with us, please. I'm going to take a break now. We'll be right back.
Politics is defined as getting what, where, when, and how. But in the mix, many things come to play to shape the political fortune of any country.
Honorable Minister, that's how you misinform the public.
From the political actors to the electorate, campaign to voting, from debates to policy decisions, big events happen to engage us in constant conversation.
That's what we're looking for. Not some people who are talking about ethnicity. No.
Who is on your mind?
Don't worry.
Join me every day on Politics Tonight, where we dissect issues that shape our political destiny. Politics Tonight, weekdays on TVC News.
Our planet, our home, threatened by man's activities with fears of mass extinction on the rise. On Green Angle, we examine the issues that affect our environment, seek solutions to put us on track to secure and restore a cleaner and greener world for generations to come.
In the month of February, 4th of February is World Cancer Day. 6th of February is International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation, while 11th of February is dedicated to women and girls in science. On the 12th of February, it's International Day Against the Use of Child Soldiers, also known as Red Hand Day.
Okay, welcome back, and my guest is Honorable Sergius Ogun. He's a member of the House of Representatives, Esa Northeast and Southeast Federal Constituency in Edo State of the PDP. Thank you for being with us, Honorable Ogun. As we speak, one newspaper is reporting that we're barely 2 days to the deadline for the Naira swap by central bank. The Supreme Court on Wednesday temporarily stopped the withdrawal of old notes from February 10, which is what the CBN had said, and that there was no going back. There's a bit of confusion about an extension to the 17th, but no mention of that is made. But Tribune Online that I am reading from here, you know, it is the person that carried the story, that carries the story that a 7-member panel led by Justice John Okoro halted the move in a ruling in an ex-parte application brought by 3 northern governors, Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara, according to the news agency of Nigeria. Those guys have gone to court, but you know, I suppose it's going to be a bit clearer. The president has said there's absolutely no going back. I don't know if you have better information as to, is it the 10th that we stop altogether, being able to spend the existing Naira notes, and we must spend the new ones, or you know, will it be extended to the 17th? Do you have any information on that as we wait on the CBN itself to come and tell us a bit more clearly where exactly we are? Honorable Ogun.
Well, at the moment, I don't have anything new on it. I've actually not been on social media all day. Like I told you earlier, we have the committee is meeting by 2 p.m. today, and hopefully we will get information. But I also believe that the CBN will address the nation today, later today maybe, on this. Because the international best practice is when you bring in new notes or a design note, the old notes will still be a legal tender alongside the new notes for a while, to allow people to bring it out and get used to the new notes. And it's even rumored that the Nigerian printing, is it the Mint, they call it, they do not have the capacity to even print enough of the new notes. Like I said, it's rumored. So that is why it would have made sense to allow the old notes to be used alongside the new ones. But like I said, I believe strongly that the CBN will address the nation on this today. And I do not have any doubt that there might be an extension.
Okay.
Which I don't think is really necessary.
Maybe I'm just before Mr. George comes on, CBN, I mean, not CBN, TVC News is also reporting that the Supreme Court of Nigeria has restrained the federal government from implementing the February 10 deadline of the old 200, 500, and 1,000 naira notes to stop being a legal tender. As I just said before, TVC News is also reporting that 3 northern states, that is Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara, had in a motion ex parte filed on February the 3rd, prayed the apex court to halt the Central Bank of Nigeria, the redesign policy. And so the story continues that a 7-man panel of the Supreme Court led by Justice John Okoro in a unanimous ruling granted an interim injunction restraining the federal government, CBN, commercial banks, and so on from implementing the February 10 deadline for the old 200, 500, and 1,000 naira notes to stop being legal tender. The report concludes with the court further held that the federal government, CBN, commercial banks must not continue with the deadline pending the determination of a notice on appeal, no, I beg your pardon, of a notice on notice, of a notice on notice, or in respect of the issue of February 15. And so, by this ruling, TVC News is reporting, by this ruling, the old Naira notes continue to be legal tender in Nigeria. Now, as we are speaking, all of this is breaking, so I'm letting you know what we have. Well, that's the state now, but as I say, we're now beginning to have hard news sources saying to us that as we stand in this particular minute, the central bank has been restrained by the Supreme Court. Good morning, Mr. George. Thank you for holding on.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and greetings to Mr. Oguns.
Okay.
Uncle Yori, what the Supreme Court has just done now is what I expected the Senate to have done when they invited the CBN governor and he refused to turn up, and they asked him to extend the deadline. He shunned the National Assembly. That is the point at which the Senate should have revoked the confirmation of the CBN governor. I said it many weeks back that this whole idea of Naira redesign is aimed at truncating this election because some enemies of this country have foreseen where the pendulum is swinging, and they don't want what is good for our country. As you can see, Uncle Yori, it is manifesting by the day. Uncle Yori, my sources at CBN told me that Central Bank printed only 120 billion naira of new notes. That 120 billion naira is supposed to be 1 trillion naira minimum because the CBN wants to withdraw 3 trillion from circulation and put only 1 trillion back. That was the aim. That's what they wanted to do. But instead of printing 1 trillion naira new notes, they printed only 120 billion naira. If the CBN governor says what I'm saying is a lie, let them publish how much they distributed to different banks. Mm-hmm. And then the bank MDs should also come out to either accept or deny that they either received those allocations. All these things they are just peddling around the media that are paid to do all those things for them are not true. What I am saying is the president ought to have taken a decision that the Supreme Court is taking now. It is entirely an executive function. I don't see why why the president should wait to convene a National Council of States to take this common executive decision. Nigerians are suffering, and you can see what is, how people are suffering. That was the design, and that was the purpose of that policy. After all, it's not today that the cashless policy began. It was already there before MSLA came to CBN, and it was designed to be executed in phases. You remember there was a time pilot schemes were introduced in 6 geopolitical zones of the country. They used it to, test it, test run it, determine what next to do. That's how it was supposed to be. It is not that you must not have cash at all. There's no economy in the world that you don't have any cash in circulation at all. But we just want to use this one to punish somebody, and now it's punishing the whole of Nigeria. Why should the president allow this to happen? This is my question. The truth of it.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. George. Honorable Ogun, I saw that you were nodding perhaps in agreement to some of the things that were said there. Would you like to continue with your comments, please?
Yeah, I agree with George 100%. Like I said earlier, this cashless policy had actually started before Emefiele became the CBN governor. I think it started under Lamido Sanusi. If he had continued, we would not be doing the firefighting we are doing today. And when he also came to brief the National Assembly, the House of Rep, he said something about 500 billion or so being money in circulation in 2015. And now it's over how many trillion, that's not in the bank. All that happened under him and under administration that came in to fight corruption. So something is wrong somewhere. Well, we still have to see the certified true copy of the Supreme Court ruling to really know, to really get the details.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the CBN wakes up to tell you that they have destroyed all the old notes, where are you going to get the old notes from? Unless maybe some politicians start, some old notes somewhere, and they will bring it out. They can very well tell you they have destroyed more than 90% of what they have received. Nobody has the old notes anymore. We have all paid it in. So it's with the banks. If the CBN wants to be mischievous and they tell you that they have destroyed them, it's not available for use anymore, what happens?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, look, I can't say much till we see the CTC of the Supreme Court injunction.
Well, the very interesting part of the report that I was quoting TVC News for is that the court has held, that is the Supreme Court, that the federal government, the CBN, commercial banks must not continue with the deadline pending the determination of a notice on notice in respect of the issue, which is coming up on February 15, I think. February 15. So we'll see how all of that goes, because it's bewildering to most ordinary folks who think you can look at life logically and maybe simplistically. So what is the big deal in it? We are changing the currency. You take in the old currency. You never put out old currency. You put out new currency every time, but that's not what we're getting. Mazi Okoro, for good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sayori. Good morning, Honorable. Sayori, you see, what we are facing today is that the cabals in the oil industry are now emerging in the banking industry. Now you ask yourself, those terrorists in the bush that the federal government said is because of them, they are now displaying the currency to us on their screen. That what we are looking for, they have excess. That is in packs. Now, how did this money get to those terrorists in the bush? Now, coming back to Nigeria, people are suffering. I met a student yesterday. I said, I've just seen you. He said that he has not seen his result. I said, what happened? He said he's owing the authority 50,000 naira. That he has been trying all his possible best to get that 50,000 naira from the bank, that he has been doing night vigil in the bank. Now tell me, that it's not frustration. Now you come back to that students cannot go to the school because they cannot afford the transport money. Because it's what the parents get, now give to the child. Now, I don't know why Nigerians feel so comfortable to frustrate human beings. You said you have printed this money. What is the problem that delayed them not to bring out this money? Now tell me, is it when the United Nations will say that they are seeing corpses of human beings on the road in Nigeria before they will now bring out this money? I don't know whether it's what they are waiting for. But they will not succeed if they are waiting to see human beings corpses on the road before people have access to their money. Now tell me, a civil servant, you have been paid your salary and you don't have access to this money, how will you feel? And people are feeling so comfortable. The bank managers are now, the bank officials name them. They are not the pushers we have in town. And they are very, very confident. But let me say, we saw what happened in Turkey. We are not praying for such things. We saw what happened in Lebanon. Now, the Turkey people, they were there now, creating problems for Ukraine and Russia, supporting Russia. Now, see what the calamity that happened in Turkey. That is why I used to say, when you see something happen, go and trace the causes. We are tracing the symptoms. What? You have to take it. There's what we call the law of boomerang effect and the law of nemesis. Anybody in this country sitting down on this money for people to proceed, I bet you, he or she will receive the repercussion, whether he likes it or not.
Sorry, Mazi Okorafor, you're angry. We mustn't go there. We mustn't resort to it. But Honorable Ogun, I want to call you back to Mr. George, who commented earlier. He said that his sources gave him to understand that a percentage of what was required was what was printed by the CBN. What was, well, when I say printed, CBN wouldn't have been printing, but you know what I mean. They were able to access only a percentage, something like 10%. Now, I was going to comment that when the ATM machine that ordinary Nigerians would have put their card into, at least up till the weekend, up till Saturday, Sunday, last weekend, ATM machines are returning that you can't get more than 2,000 Naira. 2,000 Naira. Now, how did banks go? First of all, we heard that we're trying to configure our machines. They said it was only the color that changed, but now they're saying we had to configure our machines, and it's proving tougher than we would have thought. Now, the banks know what is going on, is why they are saying that a customer cannot get more than 2,000 Naira from an ATM machine. So it does seem to me, not having any knowledge about the matter, but between the commercial banks and the central banks that allegedly printed or acquired much less than was needed, there's a rationing going on. Hence, a hapless customer might turn up and be offered only 2,000 Naira. And if you don't want it, the ridiculous alternative is to go into the banking hall on a Monday and go and strip yourself almost naked and disrupt services there. You see pictures of bank workers climbing a ladder, trying to escape. I mean, unprecedented pictures in 2023 Nigeria. Why is this happening to us? But, sir, before you answer, Ada has called in from Jos. Let me include her. Good morning, Madam Ada.
Good morning. Ada calling from Jos. Good morning to Honorable. You see, Mr. Yuri, no matter which way we want to go, I'm not after whether they want to, Supreme Court is restraining them or not restraining them. I don't even trust our Supreme Court again. So that's not for me. I'm not excited. Listen, Mr. Yuri, it's a fantastic policy, but its setback is poor implementation. So they should not throw away the baby with the bathwater. What I'm suggesting is, no matter what they decide, they should not be issuing the old notes. You understand? Even if the old ones will be running side by side with the new ones, they should not issue the old ones again. They should at all. Then they should. It is true that some bank managers are into study deals, but I believe just exactly what George said. One of the callers. It looks as if the CBN did not even print much. That's the problem. That's what led to the study deals. If it was enough, the bank manager will not be tempted to go into those study deals. And then nobody is being punished. Why can't we name and shame them? Then when because even himself, when he was having one of the briefings, that was what astonished me. He said he something.
Well, thank you very much, Ada. Ada also adding her voice, Honorable Ogun, to she's as nonplussed as anybody else, and why we are bungling this matter that doesn't need to be bungled if there wasn't more to it that meets the eye. Please carry on, Honorable Ogun.
Okay, I think it's the general conclusion that, like Ada said, is a laudable policy but poor implementation. The CBN has said that they have over, 30,000 retail agents in the rural areas. So these monies get to them. So the fear of the rural areas not having banks will not have been there, because those ones will be able to disburse the money. But even the commercial banks in the cities are not even able to disburse enough money. But let me also quickly add, we are going cashless. We are not discussing that today. And I don't think the plan of the CBN is to take out the old notes, bring the redesign, and still allow you to take as much as you could take some 5 months ago. So I think Nigerians really need to be enlightened, educated on that. That there's a limit of what you can withdraw daily right now. So the earlier we get used to that, the better. And I also know there are so many, like the person talking about, one guy, I think the Mazi Okora talked about somebody trying to pay money to school. Schools have accounts. You can use a debit card. I think as much as we appreciate this policy, we have all agreed is the poor implementation and the timing. But we want to be like the Western world, developed world. We should also begin to appreciate the fact that you cannot have too much cash in circulation. Like the government has said, the banditry, the kidnapping. You know, where in the world today do you kidnap anybody and you're asking for millions in ransom and you get the money in cash? So if we can embrace the cash, if we can embrace the cashless, to a large extent, it will help our economy. Because we spend less on printing. Can't be borrowing money to print Naira because it's not for Nigerians to move around with.
Yeah.
I said that earlier.
Yes.
So I think we should begin to, we should separate both issues. Well, you know, today we are talking about return the old notes. Yeah, we are saying, okay, extend the time so that people can get used to it and, you know, have enough of the new notes. I don't think we're ever going to go back to a situation where you walk into a bank as an individual and you pull out 5 million Naira. No, we should begin to rethink that and then embrace, you know, digital banking.
I hear you. Okay, Honorable Ogun, Sergius Ogun. Thank you very much for, you know, coming on our program this morning. I imagine that it might have stopped now. I've not been able to visit a bank myself, but it might have stopped now when in the midst of the currency change, the banks are still issuing old notes to the public, hoarding the new notes in their strong rooms or whatever it is they call them, and are issuing via their ATM, even across the counter, the little that is allowed. It just is what it is. But I want to thank you very much, Honorable Sergius Ogun, for coming along and airing the matter with us. And also thanks to, you know, those who called in as well. Your voices probably represent that of most other, you know, callers that weren't able to make it in. People are saying that there's nothing wrong with the policy, looking at it, nothing wrong with the policy, but the implementation has been accidentally mismanaged. I hope I slipped in the word accidentally, just so that nobody could slip in the word intentionally mismanage it. Thank you very much for being with us on this program. Join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.
On the 25th of February, Nigerians will go to the polls to elect President Muhammadu Buhari's successor, as well as the 109 senators and 360 members of the House of Representatives who will make up the 10th National Assembly. On the 11th of March, 28 out of 36 states will choose their next executive governors. And the 993 members of the state houses of assembly across the country will be decided. With over 93 million registered voters, Nigeria is on course for 7 cycles of uninterrupted general elections since return of democracy in 1999. Join me on TVC News for the countdown to the February 25th national election and March 11th state election for all the updates and analysis you need to know. Every weekday at 6 p.m.
Keep up with innovative, revealing, and groundbreaking happenings in the world of brands and brand builders in Nigeria and across the globe. Mingle with people and brands that make the cut and the personalities that keep reinventing the trends and traditions in the marketing world. All are exciting one-stop shop for marketing buffs. Marketing Edge on TV. You are always right on time with the right people and movers and shakers of the world of marketing as they share their views and ideas on the business and challenges of advertising, corporate affairs, media strategy, and the unfolding exciting world of digital marketing. Join the trendsetters and key decision makers as they shape opinions and project into the future of the marketing landscape for 30 exhilarating minutes on this channel. Stay ahead, be thrilled to beat, be marketing savvy with Marketing Edge on TV. Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the bright idea.
TVC News reporter Ola Wakon wins TV Production of the Year award at the 30th anniversary of the Apex Media Award in Nigeria, the Nigeria Media Merit Award NMMA 2022.
And the winner is Olaiwola Awakon, TVC.
Congratulations.
Ola Awakon has distinguished himself with his unusual knack for impactful human angle and talent discovery special reports.
And I thank the organizers of the Nigeria Media Merit Award for this and recognizing excellence in the media space. I'm just so excited.
Congratulations, Ola Awakon, for this outstanding achievement.
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent broadcast company, has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past few years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company not just in Nigeria but throughout continental Africa to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Never miss a moment. Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere on your mobile or smart devices. Download the TVC News app today. Available on Google Play and Apple Store.
Hello and welcome to the Midday News. Let's begin with the breaking news where we now know that the old 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes will continue to be legal tenders after the deadline set by the Central Bank of Nigeria. This is because the Supreme Court of Nigeria earlier today restrained the federal government from implementing the February 10th deadline. 3 northern states, Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara, had an motion ex parte filed on the 3rd of February prayed the Apex Court to halt the Central Bank of Nigeria Naira redesign policy. A 7-man panel of the Supreme Court, led by Justice John Okoro, in a unanimous ruling, granted an interim injunction restraining the federal government, CBN, commercial banks from implementing the February 10th deadline for the old 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes to stop being legal tender. The court further held that the federal government, CBN, commercial banks must not continue with the deadline pending the determination of a notice in respect of the issue on February the 15th. By this ruling, the old Naira notes continue to be legal tenders in Nigeria.
The original decision of Supreme Court, when there's a dispute between the state government and federal government, is one of the few occasions where Supreme Court has the original jurisdiction. So we invoked the powers of the Supreme Court to hear this application. The reason for it is that as well-intentioned as this policy of federal government of the design is working hardship all over the country, as we can all